it is necessary to purge the establishment.
What she's suggesting that churches do, a focus on...
That's not necessarily a good thing to start with.
They're stating it wasn't around when we needed the greatest generation of the 30s or 40s.
It happened before the election because there's too many Republicans that are afraid that their wrongdoings are going to...
It's unacceptable, and I'm not going to sit here, stay silent, and not call it out. I'm calling out their lies.
Do they think that we are so stupid that we will not notice and find out?
I am a raging patriot.
If they ask me how I did it, I'ma just tell them I rose up. I'm a survivor. Fight for my life. Coming back stronger. I will arise. I'm a survivor. Fight for my life. Coming back stronger. I will arise. Staring at you from afar, analyzing every scar, asking myself how we got here. Remember, this is who we are. I am not here for revenge. I did not come to make amends. Not here to repent for my sins. I just came here to win. I just came here to end. I just came here to fight. Show you everything you said I couldn't be. I became overnight. This for the blood, this is for the tears, this is for my pain and my plight. Two walked in, but only one of us is walking out of here tonight.
Welcome to KSoK Uncensored. Tonight we have an amazing guest, Anthony Vazquez, and he has been playing baseball for quite some time, and actually even here in the Seattle area for the Mariners. Anthony is a pitcher, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear from him. Along with being an amazing baseball player with a long career, Anthony is a patriot from the state of Texas. He's a Christian, a father, a husband, and an amazing person, and I think he has a great personality and sense of humor. And that's why he is on tonight to grace you with his presence. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
Glad to be here. I'm doing well,
happy
thank
to
you.
have you. I know your schedule is completely crazy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on KSoK Uncensored. And what I'd like to do is, one, let's talk about, you're from Texas. I'm jealous, actually. I wish I was a Texan. Who knows? Maybe I'll live there someday. I got to escape this hellhole soon. But what's it like being born and raised, and you're from San Antonio, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's it like being from Texas?
Obviously, as you know, we've always had a little Texas pride thing, and Texas has always been great.
Hell
but
yes.
It seems like it was never obviously great. You know, you have your Texas pride, and it was never much of an issue growing up. Everybody loved their own state, but just Texas had a little more pride than everybody else. But
Right.
as the world is turning now, and as things are going the way they are today, as you could tell, it seems like that pride is turning into something a little bit more real. It hits home a little bit more, and you know, the freedom idea, the patriotism, all that stuff that has been so prevalent all along that made people love Texas for the last 50 years seems to obviously represent a lot more these days and these times in the last
Right.
Couple of years. That's for sure, especially today. So if anything, it just makes me more proud and more happy to be a Texan. That's for sure.
Absolutely. You should be. It's an amazing state, great people. I have a lot of family in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'll be back there in December. Too bad it's not closer to you, but I really enjoy the people there, and great state to be from. So I want to talk about something. What do you think about what is happening in Texas right now with all of the open border and the illegal immigration? It makes a lot of people like me who wanted to move to Texas, a little nervous that it's purple, potentially going to go blue because of what is happening at the border.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it'll never go blue. I don't think it will. It may not. That would be a long shot, but you never know. Things have happened so quickly in the last handful of years of doing that. But it seems like people come to Texas from California and other areas because they like the values that are currently there and they like the life that is currently there. But clearly, that's a byproduct of the beliefs that are already there. And then they just want to bring their beliefs that they left and ran from to Texas to try to make it blue. But as a whole, I'd say it's pretty conservative. A big hub, obviously the capital of Austin is a pretty big hub for a blue side, and that's definitely a blue wave that runs through there.
Right.
Especially more in the downtown area. You know, their slogan is "Keep Austin Weird." It's kind of like this wannabe LA vibe.
The wannabe Portland.
Stuff.
That's our slogan here in Portland. Keep Portland weird. We have this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a wannabe Portland. I didn't know that. So yeah, it is what it is. I hopefully that doesn't translate to a wave that goes throughout the entire state. I mean,
Right.
again, you hear all the voices are a little bit louder because they're portrayed a little bit louder on that side, but it doesn't necessarily always represent the majority. And
right.
that's for sure. And so I think Texas is pretty prideful, and they definitely keep their conservative values pretty strong. And so as a whole, I think that they can yell and scream all they want, but I think as a whole that hopefully it's going to stay on the red side for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good thing for us to remember is, the silent majority, as much as that ticks me off, I wish people would open their mouths more. It's so true. We are on the right. We definitely are quieter and try to be a little more peaceful, a lot more peaceful, but it's not getting us anywhere. And so, I'm excited to see people standing up. Like earlier in the week or over the weekend, we saw Southwest Airlines employees and the pilots standing up for these vaccine mandates and walking off the job, and thousands of canceled flights. And you know what? That is okay. If we need to be inconvenienced to try to keep our freedoms in place, then that's what needs to happen. And quite frankly, we need a lot more of that. But
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just think that stuff like that is happening a lot more than we think, but if anything gears towards one side of the political spectrum, it's just not going to be displayed as much on social media, on the news and whatnot. But you see one person have a negative conversation with somebody else, and that conversation appeals more towards the left side. I mean, it's going to go nationwide, and you're going to see it everywhere, and you're going to think that is somehow a much larger issue in the nation, and that more people feel that way than really do.
Right.
Whereas in reality, what's going on is people are walking off the set for their freedoms to be taken away, and they're walking off of their jobs, but they're going to try to keep that as quiet as they can. And obviously,
Right.
that type of situation represents the voice of the American person a lot more than some other smaller issue that's being blown up all over the media. So you just have to keep that in mind, I think, and I keep that in mind, and have your little conversations. It's not that we're not standing up for ourselves or we're not being loud. It's just obviously the social media platforms are run by certain people, and all the media platforms are just run by one side, and so you're just going to hear that a lot more. But it doesn't necessarily, like I said, it definitely doesn't represent the American people. So that type of
I love
stuff
it. You're so
is
rational.
encouraging. Yeah,
I know who to reach out to now when I'm about to jump off the ledge.
there you go. Absolutely.
I'm like,
Let me
yeah,
know.
you're very rational and level-headed. It's refreshing for sure, because I get worked up pretty easily. But no, it is a good reminder that what we see is not a true depiction of what is taking place. But it sure works to get us ruffled up, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and transition into some of the sexy stuff. All right, your baseball career. So I looked at where you went to college. So you went to Texas A&M. Is that an Aggie? Is that what that is?
For 1 year. They just
1
beat
year, okay.
Alabama this weekend. So yeah, I went
Oh,
there.
nice, nice.
I was recruited out of high school, yes, and
Oh,
signed
really?
there and went
Okay.
there for a year. And I was excited to go there, but the coaching staff changed.
Oh,
So when you're recruited for baseball or sports, I was committed for a whole year under a certain coaching staff. That coaching staff literally got fired the month or two before I started school. And so
oh,
I
wow.
went there, and I was under my freshman year. I was under a different coaching staff than actually had recruited me. So
Oh,
I went there for a year. I still enjoyed it. I had a good time. It was just definitely a different experience with different coaches. So I ended up transferring to USC for the next
yeah,
3
USC.
years.
Okay. Trojans,
hmm
right? There. So
hmm
you finished college at USC.
I
It's a
did
great
finish
college.
college. Yes, I was able to actually finish school there too and get my degree before I got drafted. So that was definitely nice too.
Nice. That's
hmm
awesome. And so then you went right from there to the Mariners, is that correct?
Correct. I got drafted by the Mariners in
Okay.
2009. That was my senior year in college.
Okay. Okay, cool.
hmm
So what was that experience like?
Well, you don't go straight to the Mariners like the big league team, but you get drafted by the
Right.
organization,
Like
and
their
then you
farm
kind of
team.
you, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and then you just kind of work your way
Yeah.
up. But fortunately, I was able to do well and kind of got on the fast track. It usually takes quite a while for most players, but I was able to make it up within a couple years of me getting drafted, and it was definitely a little bit faster than I ever expected. But probably why I didn't do so well. I probably wasn't ready for it. But
Yeah.
it was definitely an honor and a great experience, and that definitely changed the course of my career and my life in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Having that opportunity to go so fast. But yes, that was my path of just getting drafted by the Mariners, and I was able to play with that organization for a few years.
And you're a lefty, right?
I am.
A lefty pitcher. The lefty pitchers are highly sought after, right? I mean, it's tough for a righty batter to hit a left pitch, at least from my
Well,
little
not for
experience.
some guys. I don't know. Ask all the guys that have hit home runs off me, and they probably wouldn't say it's too hard
Yeah,
to
they're
hit
like,
to hit somebody like me. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't really matter at some point. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to get your job done, whether or not you're lefty or righty. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. All right, well, let's fast forward to where you are today. We have a video that we want to play, about 30 seconds, a minute maybe. Pretty exciting stuff.
Con carrera sucia, por cierto, perdió 2-1 ese juego, tirando 7 innings. Darrell Sherman. Pegado, abanica y lo arregló. Tremendo picheo, una recta con mucha vida.
Hit and run, de usar estrategia defensiva.
Tremendo cambio de velocidad, un paracaídas, abanica y barra y también lo arregló. Vázquez. Con el picheo, alta la recta, se la comió Rutherford. Abanica y se ponchó. Los 3 outs por la vía de...
3 Era 2-2. Era 2-2.
Un cubano.
Hey, awesome. Okay. The only words I knew, I heard erecto. I heard your last name. I heard pitch. But go ahead. Can you talk me through what just happened there? Because I clearly could not figure it out myself.
He was just talking about the pitches that I was throwing. That's pretty much what he was talking about, and the count and the result of the at bat. So he's saying, "Hey, it was a good pitch. It was
You're doing a good
fastball."
job.
Yeah,
Nice.
something like that. So yeah.
Very awesome. All right, I have to ask you, and then I'll dive into something, but I'm just a curious person. Okay, in the United States, hot dogs, popcorn, what's being sold in the stands in Mexico?
Cerveza. That's what's being
Okay.
sold in the States.
Cerveza. What about food?
That's beer. That means beer. So they drink a lot of beer, and honestly, I wouldn't know too much. I can't say I've ever attended a game as a fan here in Mexico. I've always been a player, so
Yeah.
it's a completely different experience. But little bags of chips are popular. Churros, chips that have like the salsa in it. I don't know.
Ooh.
I can't remember the official name of it, but it's almost like Lay's potato chips that have like this salsa in it, and that's a pretty popular thing.
Nice.
Just stuff
That's
like
my
that. So
homework for
definitely
you.
a little
You got
bit.
to figure that out and
Okay.
report back to me.
Okay. I'll get back to
I'm
you.
like,
I'll
what
get
are they
back
going
to you.
out there with tamales? I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking
No, not
something
tamale.
exotic,
No
but
tamales. Definitely no tamale. Not really big hot. Definitely okay. So hot dogs and they sell popcorn, but the hot
okay.
dogs and popcorn are not the main attraction out here for baseball games. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely
I
beer
figured it was
and
different.
little snacks and chips and things like that for sure.
Love it. I love it. So,
Mhm.
how long have you been playing in Mexico?
This will be, it's a little different because I was still playing in the US because these are different seasons. So this main team that I've been playing with is in the winter, which is basically starts from October and it goes till January, February, whereas in the US it's mainly summer leagues, which starts in February, March, spring training, and then it goes from April to about September. And so that I was able to do both kind of at the same time. So just because I'm playing in Mexico doesn't mean I'm not playing in the U.S. anymore. I was
Oh,
kind
okay.
of double dipping. So I was with the team in the U.S. for the summer, and then in the winter I would go play a little bit more in Mexico. But my first
I
Mexico
see.
stint. So I played in Venezuela when I was in 2013. I played in Venezuela for a little while, and then in 2014 was my first stint in Mexico. 14, 15, and then I went again in 17, 18, and then I went again in 19, the last 3 years, 19, 20, 20, 21, and now this year. So
Oh,
it's like
wow. Okay.
my fourth or fifth time here. And then this summer I actually was the first summer I didn't play, second summer I didn't play in the US. And I
Nice.
just played in
Okay.
Mexico this summer. So it was my first full summer league in Mexico this summer. But they're two
That's
different
really
leagues, so it's different to explain.
okay.
But they're two different leagues. But I spent a few years
Interesting.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet. Okay. So, what's like the main difference that you would say between your US career and your career in Mexico?
Obviously the main difference is you're with an affiliated team in the US, obviously. So you're with a team that
Yeah.
represents a major league team, and you're always giving yourself an opportunity to go to the major leagues. I mean, that's kind of your goal. And so whether or not you're double A, triple A, most of my time's been spent in triple A time since 2011, I guess, double A, triple A time. You're always giving yourself the opportunity to get called up to the big league. So that's probably the biggest difference. The caliber of baseball is a little bit better at the highest level at triple A. Major league obviously is the best, but these leagues down here in Mexico are definitely very good, very competitive, and a lot of guys down here have played in either the major leagues or affiliated baseball, double A, triple A.
Okay.
And some of this. So a lot of these guys do have experience in the United States as well, and in quite
I
a bit
had no idea.
even major league experience. Yes, in the major leagues in
That's
the
really
United
cool.
States. So it's definitely competitive baseball. Like I said, well, like this summer, for example, I played with Adrian Gonzalez, and he's played in the major leagues for 13 years, and he was a 5-time All-Star
Wow.
in the major leagues, and and he's got a lot of credentials. So he's made a lot of money in his career. So
That's exciting.
there's
Yeah,
definitely
that would be really exciting.
there's definitely quality caliber baseball players that are coming down here.
That's really
Hmm.
cool. Yeah, I bet that makes it very exciting for you. I want to pivot into something that you experienced not too long ago, and that was, we connected on this when I posted about my daughter's second brain surgery scan results and how she's free and clear, doesn't have any tumors, doesn't have anything concerning. And then you opened up to me about the fact that you've had brain surgery and I know that you're an open book about this. You're okay talking about it. So if you could just share with us like what happened and what life has been like for you since your brain surgery.
Yeah, so I have never been hurt in my career except this one time, and my shoulder was hurt with Seattle. I was in AAA and I just got hurt. So I went to Arizona to rehab where their spring training is. And while I was there in the fall, typically it's my off season time. I was not able to go home because I was still hurt in rehab, so I was kind of under their supervision. I had a weird head issue one night, and I never have head issues, and it was kind of like a vertigo experience. And then it went away the next day, but a week later I woke up and my peripheral vision was gone, and my right eye, and it was just like, man, that's kind of weird. But my body felt fine, everything felt fine. But then that night my head started to hurt, had a little pressure in it, not crazy. And typically I'd take an Advil or do something, my headaches go away, but it didn't do anything. Next day my head felt worse, and this was a Wednesday now. I was at the field trying to go through our routine. I said, hey, can I go to the doctor? Like, I never have head issues. My vision's still a little messed up. Let me just go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. They sent me there. And, basically that guy had to fight for me. That was a Wednesday. He had to fight for me the next day. He's like, let me take you to the neurologist. Obviously, it's a head issue. I can't do anything for you. But let me go, especially because it's still persisting. And it was like when I was moving, I would feel the pressure like a little bit more in my head. And I was like, I just knew it was weird. So Thursday morning, it was even worse. And I went there, and I got an MRI at the neurologist. And they basically came out with the results. Like, I was just, at this point, I was like, something's happening. Something's wrong. I kind of wanted him to tell me something rather than say, I don't know, we'll see. I was like, no, something's wrong. So he did, but unfortunately it was not good news. He came out and he said, hey, listen, you got a pretty serious situation here. You got an AVM. We've had success in the past, obviously remove and take care of these, but however your situation is pretty serious, like, we're going to need to do surgery tomorrow morning. So this is Thursday.
And for those watching, what exactly is an AVM?
So an AVM it's called an arterial venous malformation, and it's something that where when your brain is developing, you can get a clot of blood vessels. You have blood vessels that are smaller, capillaries and arteries and veins that go through your head that distribute blood. Arteries are the biggest ones, and capillaries and the blood vessels are the smallest ones. But they can, I guess, in your brain development, they can kind of, at times, the AVM is they can get tangled up a little bit. They're not always 100% an issue, I think, and they're not always super detrimental. But when they get tangled up, that can either stop one or clog one or do something, and it can swell up, and so one of them can burst, or it can be an issue for sure. I doubt 100% are issues, and they're typically found when you're a little bit older, and I think they're more found in women when they are found. And so I think that's how it is. So he was kind of surprised that being younger and healthier and athletic that I was having this issue. However, so that's what it was. And I don't know what they specifically, like I said, I don't know the full details of what they saw in the MRI that was like, hey, there's an issue, but there was, and he said we need to do surgery tomorrow morning. And this was a Thursday. So I stayed there. I just stayed at the hospital that night, and I walked to the room, and it was funny because even me walking to the room, you go to the floor, the brain surgery floor, and it's just, as you know, it's not a good floor to be on, for sure. And so the nurses, I went in there. Obviously, I drove myself to the hospital. I went there and I sat down and hanging out. And the nurses, like, I've had a few nurses come in. They were like, "Are you the patient?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. Like, they just told me to come up here. I have surgery in the morning." I said to stay here, and they're like, "Oh, typically they don't just like walk themselves here and come here and hang out." And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, but regardless, I had the best brain surgeon in the world for AVMs. He's a rock star. He's popular. His name's Dr. Robert Spetzler. And he was literally going to China the very next day, and he was going to be gone for a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so the timing of even my symptoms was crazy. And the fact that I was injured, I was only in Arizona because my shoulder was hurting at the time. And so that's the only reason that I was right down the street from this hospital and this guy. So there was a lot of crazy coincidences that were just lining up that that ended up putting me at the right place, right time. And next thing you know, he did the surgery the next morning. Yeah, absolutely. And he did the surgery next morning. It was great and successful. And I was able to leave the hospital 3 days later. And my only rehab was to just rest, and the rest has been history. I had a checkup a couple months later, and they said, you're 100% good to go. You just live your life. And that was
That
that.
is
So,
wow. That is incredible. It really is. And
mhm.
so they didn't tell you now, are you playing baseball right now against their wishes?
No, I was 100%. It was funny. I stayed out and I kept rehabbing. My shoulder was still hurt, so I still had to rehab for a while after that. And
Yeah.
everybody always thought like my brain surgery kept me out or did something crazy to my career. And I was
Yeah.
like, honestly, brain surgery, that whole situation literally stopped me for a month. But I was in the middle of my rehab anyway. My shoulder was hurt, so the brain surgery
Yeah.
didn't set me back one bit at all. I mean, it was in
That
the
is
off season.
amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank God. Like seriously. I know we're even blessed that we have here in Portland, we have two of the best hospitals and one of the best pediatric neurosurgeons west of the Rockies. And so we're really blessed
Mm-hmm.
because people come from all over and they're, 25 minutes from here. So yeah, it's one of those things and people don't realize with brain surgery because you've had one, my daughter's had two. You can literally, it's like my daughter, she came home after 2 nights, and kids do heal a little faster. 2 nights, and we were out doing nature walks. And, I'll post
Mm-hmm.
something to people on Facebook because they've been praying for her, and they're like, they can't believe it. And it really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to wrap your head around how someone can have this like the most major surgery and be just functioning fine within,
Yeah.
24,
Well, it's
48
just one of those
hours.
things where, yeah, they can do it and it works successful and it doesn't alter you one bit, or something can go wrong and next thing you know you're paralyzed on one side, or your speech
Oh,
is
right.
gone, or it's just that's how it is, or you can pass away. I mean that's the reality of the
Yeah.
situation that they were explaining to me, at least, too. I mean it can be,
Yeah.
like I said, extremely successful, or you're dealing with the brain and one wrong turn or one crazy happening, and you could be, have life altering decisions and
Right.
circumstances for the rest of your life. So that's just, it's such a sensitive area, of course. But in our
Absolutely.
situation, hopefully, obviously, mine has worked out well, and hopefully
Yes.
continued success for your daughter as well. So
Yeah, she's doing amazing. Yeah, it's so cool
good.
that I appreciate you opening up to me about that because it
Hmm.
is
No,
something
it's
it's not common. And so when you
no,
can
it's not.
relate to somebody about something, it
Hmm.
feels nice. So I appreciated that
Hmm.
very much. Okay, so where do you go from here? We have a few minutes left. I want to say what is on the horizon for you in the next couple years?
I'm not quite sure. In the moment, honestly, I'm studying to be a financial advisor. So
Okay,
I'm in the
cool.
process of, yeah, I'm in the process. My brother is actually a financial advisor, and I had met a guy in San Antonio this last year that is a very successful financial advisor, and he kind of pushed me over the edge to get involved in the business. He fell in love with me. He's this huge sports guy, and he was like, "Man, I think you'd
Nice.
be great in this business." And so I went to his office and everything, and I had no plans of doing that for my career, but he kind of got me convinced, and I think he's going to take me under his wing, and he actually, wants me to partake in his personal business eventually. So it seemed like a great
Perfect.
opportunity. Things were lining up, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll go for it." So I've passed my life and health insurance exam, and I've passed so I can sell that in the midst of it, and I've passed my
Okay.
securities exam, which I just did about a couple weeks ago, and now I'm in the process of studying for the big one, the Series 7 exam that kind of gets you fully qualified to
Yes.
do everything. And so I just started that studying a few days ago, and I'll be doing that this winter, and that's just kind of something to have for my next
Yep.
phase in life if I decide to do that soon. And so I think that's what I'm going to pursue, and it's kind of nice to have an answer. People been asking me for
Yes.
years, what are you going to do after baseball? And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
focused 100% on baseball right now, and I'm at a point where it's like, when you're in AAA, you never know if somebody gets hurt. I mean, you're at the point where you can go home in a week and you do terrible for a month, and they can release you, and next thing you know, you have to find a
Yeah.
job. Or if you happen to be doing great and some injured in the major leagues, and you take their spot, and then you start to do great, you could be making a couple $1,000,000 in a couple years. It's like it's just a whole,
Right.
like, the whirlwind of the baseball and the professional athlete career is crazy. So for somebody to ask you like, "Hey, what are you doing?" in the next
Yeah.
couple of years. So, I mean, it could be like, I don't know. I could be working for HEB just to get by in the next year, or I could be making a couple $1,000,000 or $1 million in the next couple of years. Like, I don't know. So
That's
as
a
long as
trip
that,
for sure.
yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
mean, as
glad
long as that
you're
opportunity is in front of you,
7
it's,
and you got your 66, it sounds like. 7 and 66. Those are not easy. Like those are some excruciating it's the whole process is excruciating. So my hat's off to you on that. But I think it's amazing, like you said, it's amazing to have that next step lined up and
Mhm.
you have somebody to take you under their wing. It's a lot about who you know, always has been, always will be. And so
Mhm.
that's awesome. And I'm rooting for you. I know you'll do amazing. You have that personality and that ability to connect with somebody. You're one of my virtual friends and look forward to meeting you in person someday. And again, I really appreciate you spending your time with us this evening. And where can people find you if they want to follow you?
I'd say my Instagram page is, I don't use Facebook too much. My Instagram page is
Yeah.
probably the thing I check the most and use the most. So that would be Tony Russ 8. I think that's my Tony Russ and the number 8. I think that's my
All
my
right.
Instagram name. And
Your
so
handle.
just find me there, and if whatever you have any questions or you need anything, reach out. I'm usually pretty responsive for the most part. So
All right. And he's a blue check mark guy, guys. So he's got one of the fancy check marks. But awesome. Well, this has been so fun. I appreciate you. You probably want to go get some rest now. But thank you again for coming on. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
no problem. No, thank you guys for having me. It was an honor, and like I said, thank you for asking me and feeling like I'm somebody worthwhile spending time on here.
Oh,
So
you are. Of
we
course you are.
appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. You have a great
Well, thank
evening.
you.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye. Thank you guys for tuning in. And after me, don't forget to hang on so you can watch Blue Family Unity. And then also the loaded mic. And don't forget about Mike Lindell, our raging patriot that we support. We have our own code RAM, RAM. You get a hefty discount if you apply that at the time of your purchase. And as you can see, we have our own phone number there for MyPillow. Please check it out. Christmas is around the corner. That's what my family members will be getting, whether they like it or not. They're getting a robe, they're getting some slippers, they're getting some pillows, and I'm not kidding. That's what's happening. You guys have a great evening, and thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week.